performance with the sixth grade band. This is our first time performing in the auditorium, and I really do appreciate you having your child here so that we could do a little bit of a rehearsal. We can't duplicate the sound of this room or the lighting in this room in the band room, and so this gives us a little bit of a chance to kind of get used to the room before we start. We're going to open our performance tonight with a trio, 3 parts played independently, called Kumbaya. The band is divided into 3 different parts, and each of the people in the band will play the A line, which is the main melody, the B line, which is the middle harmony line, and the C line, which is the bass line. We're going to use this for our warm-up. We'll do this 3 times through, so you'll hear 3 versions of this piece, but it does give them a chance to get their range and their fingers going and their breath going. So this is Kumbaya. Last time we performed for you back in October, we had just learned 6 notes and some basic rhythms like quarter notes, half notes, and whole notes. Since that time, we've more than doubled the amount of notes that we know, and we've doubled the number of rhythms that we've learned. We've also covered things like dynamics, which are loud, soft, medium soft, tempo, fast, slow, very fast. A lot of different musical concepts, first and second ending repeats, a lot more material in which they can start making what we call full band music. Our next piece that we're going to perform for you is written in the style of a school fight song, and it's called School Spirit. And actually, the melody of it is on Wisconsin. The reason it's on Wisconsin is that the people that wrote this book are all graduates of the University of Wisconsin, and the publishing company is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So they include this in the book because there's a lot of schools in the United States that use On Wisconsin as their fight song. So this is School Spirit. with learning an expanded range of notes, that also allows us to teach them about key signatures and playing in different keys. So music has a wider variety to choose from. The next piece that we have drops some of the flats out of the key signature, and if the student isn't paying careful attention to that, they'll end up playing in the same key we just did. So hopefully everybody heard that, and we're ready to make that key change. The other thing is, we're playing in what we call 3 beats per measure. That piece that we just played was in 2 beats per measure, and it was a quick allegro tempo. So this is more of what they might consider a waltz tempo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This also features different sections in the band. The melody will be passed from the woodwinds to the upper brass, to the lower brass, to the bells. And it's based on a very, very famous, at least in the band world, solo for cornet called the Carnival of Venice. Our next selection comes from our own American patriotic tradition, and it is an arrangement of America the Beautiful. It starts out with the trumpets and the clarinets presenting a little bit of a fanfare that is echoed by the trombones and the baritones and the French horn, call and answer back and forth. And then the main melody is taken up by the clarinets and the French horns, and it continues on until it concludes with this same fanfare at the end. So this is America the Beautiful. concert in terms of time. It is a long concert in terms of endurance. So we're going to let them have a little bit of a rest so they can rest their lips a little bit, especially the brass players. And there's a couple of announcements that I have been asked to make to you by the band boosters. The first one is during the week of February 5th through 11th, Schuler's Bookstore in the Meridian Mall is sponsoring a Hazlitt Band donation. Any purchase that you make at Schuler's Books outside of the Chapbook Cafe, when you go up, if you say, I am a Hazlitt Band supporter or band booster, they will make a donation of 20% of the sales that they make. It does not involve anything in terms of selling anything to anybody or a fundraiser going door to door or anything like that. But if you just happen to be in the bookstore and you make a purchase and you tell them you support the Hazlitt bands, we will receive a check from them. And I believe the last time that they did this, we received how much, Mr. Gott?
I don't remember the exact figure, but I believe it was over $1,000.
Over $1,000. I was thinking $1,000, what the treasurer told us. So that's a pretty nice donation from them. So we'd like to encourage you to do that. We know that Valentine's Day is coming up pretty soon, and my wife has already told me some romance books she'd like me to get her for Valentine's Day, so I will be telling them I support the Hazlitt Band. The second one, the boosters are sponsoring a rock and roll bowling experience. And we have passed out flyers to the 7th and 8th grade bands. This group will get a flyer about this during their classes. We didn't really want to pass it out during our rehearsal times because that's very valuable to us. It's going to be at Holiday Lanes up there by Frandor, and it is Saturday, January 28th from 12:30 to 5:30, and they do ask that you start bowling before 3 o'clock. It's $10 per person, but that includes 3 games and shoe rental. And if you are not the world's greatest bowler, there are bumpers available. So this is open to any of the 6th, 7th, or 8th graders. The high school kids will also be doing this. Some of them are forming teams. Special awards for outstanding performance, highest score, lowest score. Good thing you can play music because you can't bowl worth beans. That's what it says here. So, most unusual form. That probably will go to me if I choose to do this. Sectional award, that means if you tell them what instrument you play, like if you're a 6th grade trumpet player and several of you together and you're the best bowlers, you have the best score, the section gets an award. So this is being organized by Mr. Matsudo. He has a son who's in the high school band. He's also the residence hall manager at Holmes Hall at MSU. So he's volunteered to take this on. The only thing that Holiday Lanes asks is that any middle schoolers have a parent to come along with them. Does not necessarily mean that you have to accompany your child. If your child has 2 or 3 or 4 friends they want to bowl with, and a parent can provide the transportation and supervision for them, that would be fine. So, again, that's January 28th. And that's, as far as I can remember, the only things they've asked us to announce. Our next piece is called La Cucaracha. It is a Latin American piece. It means the cockroach, and it is usually in the form of a dance. It's actually it's a kid's game or a dance game from Mexico, and it allows us to feature some of the Latin percussion instruments, and also gives them some experience playing dotted quarter-eighth notes, the boom, 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 boom rhythm, which is very prevalent through this piece and also in that music. Okay, I sometimes have to wait so the percussion gets set up so I don't start a piece before they're ready to go. Our last piece deals with a little bit of world history. This is called the theme from the 1812 Overture. In 1812, there were two major historical events that took place. One of them was a war between Great Britain and the United States, and another war between France and Russia. Napoleon invaded Russia, and Russia defeated Napoleon in a decisive battle in Moscow in the winter. This piece of music is about that particular event. It was commissioned by Russian war veterans, by the Russian composer Tchaikovsky. He is the same person that wrote what most people know as the Nutcracker Ballet, which you hear a lot in December around the holiday time. This piece, for some reason, and I've never been able to find out why, has become associated with the 4th of July. I think maybe because the original piece at the end has cannons that boom and bells that ring. As a matter of fact, Tchaikovsky had an orchestra that had like 2,000 pieces in it, and in the score, it's told all the military units and the churches in Moscow at such and such a time, you start firing off your cannon and you start ringing your bells to indicate this big, giant, glorious victory over Napoleon. So I guess maybe using fireworks and this music, which is very stirring music, kind of got put together somehow. I know every time I go down to see the 4th of July fireworks at the park down in Lansing, the Lansing Concert Band plays this piece, the very last piece before the fireworks go off. So a lot of people think it's about the 1812 war that we had, but it's really about the Russian 1812. So a lot of the kids did not know that history behind that. So we try to make sure that we can do an interdisciplinary approach to our subject as well. So this is the last piece, the themes from the 1812 Overture by Tchaikovsky.
just since a short time ago. And we look forward to hands down.